Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope that one will be fine, and welcome back to another course. So in this video I'm going to explain to you about the DOM, right? So what is DOM and why we use a DOM. So everything I'm going to explain you from scratch, and I believe this is the video which has been missing from my a lot of videos that I just create. So I have my HTML and CSS videos, I have my jQuery crash course, I have my JavaScript and some basics about JavaScript. So I planned that this video is missing, so let's just make a topic on it. And I am also planning to make an updated version of the HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so might just plan after that. So let's first start with the DOM crash course. Alright, so what is DOM? So DOM is basically stands for a document object model, and it's basically a structural representation of an HTML document, and we can use JavaScript to manipulate these DOM element, and it is also object oriented representation, which basically means that it has its own properties and methods. So let's first look at the diagram that we have. So this diagram has the document, like the first node, which has documents, and this is basically the window object, which has a ton of properties and methods included in that, and we can see later on. So next, after the document, we have our root element, and that root element is basically the doc type, which has the HTML element or a tag. And next we have our element and head as a body, and the element. So basically these are two siblings which are on the same stage. So these both same stages are connected with the root element. And next, these element head have the title. So you see that inside head we have our title tag, and that's basically the title, the text. And the next we have for the body, we can add up anything, like we can add up the attributes, we can add the elements which contains anchor tags, or which contains headings, and mostly element anchor tags have the links. And for the H1 we have our header, which can denote the heading. So this is basically the basic diagram. That's how the document can traverse. So we can also understand the concept about the traversing. We can understand how we can manipulate the DOM. So that's everything that we can do on our with the coding examples. So let's jump in. All right, so let's start with the example first. So we have our very basic HTML, and which includes the title and a very basic H1 tag, and inside that I have my scripts where I have created a file with the scripts.js where we will place every JavaScript, right? And I also need a style.css later on with an example. So let's just create that and let's use it for when it's required. All right, so let's first go inside the scripts.js, and I have my Visual Studio Code open and my Chrome browser on the right, and you can I'm using live server. So you see on top I have been running my live server, and that's all you need to do is to install the live server extension. And I just want to show you. So you can install that live server extension by Ritwik. Let me open up that. So there we go. So you need to install that live server extension, and that's going to open up your so real-time changes can be done on your browser. So once it's installed, all you need to do is to just simply right click on it and click on the open with the live server, and that's how you can see the changes on real time, right? So that's really a helpful extension to install. All right, so let's first move into the scripts.js and first look at the window object. So basically window object has bunch of properties and method. So let's write here window and press enter, and you see on the right that we have our, let's make it just zoom. So here you could see that the window object have a bunch of document, which includes data, which includes location. So let's open up that, and that have a lot of different methods, which includes alert, which includes ATOB for your for the conversion of base64, or you have the blur methods. You have the this used for the BDO is basically used for the 64 encoded string. And next you have your time intervals, and you have some confirmation methods. So there are a bunch of all the methods which includes in the document you can easily find out in the window object, right? So that's the major concept about the window. And let's first start with the document. So what is actually document? So you can see that everything that includes. So I just want to inspect this and go to my console. and that document have everything, which includes the header tag. You see that DOM crash course, the title includes in that. And next we have our H1, which includes the DOM crash course with the H1 and this and the styling and the script tag. So anything which includes in the document you can see on the console. So that's the also the very major object for the document, right? All right, so let's move to the example. So we will start it with a step-by-step, and first I have to write some basic HTML where we can do some minor changes. So let's create here a H3 heading, and let's write here H3 and give it the hello. All right, so as long as I write hello, you can see the change. So just want to zoom this also. All right, so and I need to do some few classes. Let's give it the class of title and ID equal to title, right? So for getting the IDs and the classes, so we need some selectors. Just like jQuery, you can use you can use selectors. So with the help of vanilla JavaScript, we can. It's very much easier to use selection. So it's always a good way of selecting using vanilla JavaScript. It's a better way than jQuery. However, jQuery requires a lot of CDN. So but for that case, you don't need any content directory network. Straight away, you can just write the code. So first for the heading, we have our H3. So if I just write here const heading equal to document dot query selector. So inside that selector, I'm going to pass here H3, right? And let's console the log and write here heading. So I type heading here, and let's go to the console. And you see that we can easily select that H3, which includes the title and the ID, right? So that's how we can grab the selector. So this is basically the query selector. Anything that you can add, like you can add the classes, you can add the IDs. But in case of ID, we have to use here something known as document.getElementById, which I'm going to show you next. So let's do next thing here. So I just want to comment this out and write the so now if I just need to grab with the you see that I saved it, and yeah, just need to save that, and let's go and grab the with the help of class. So which is the class is title, and let's give it here the title. So if I just simply type here title and saves it, and you can see that it grabs the title which includes in our head tag. But for the class, I need to do here is to bring that dot. So because you know that for classes we can use dot. So with the help of query selector, you can grab by putting the dot for class, and that's how you can grab the H3, right? So this is for the classes. There are other methods that you can use, but let's first go with the step-by-step, right? So next we have our document.getElementById. All right, so this basically selector grabs the ID. So we have an ID with the name of title, and if I just saves it, and all I need to do is to check this out. Yeah, I don't need their hash. So if I just saves it, so you can see that we can grab the ID. We can also grab the using the document.getElementById for getting the IDs, right? So let's go into the further steps, and I just need to comment this all. And let's do more stuff with the heading. So I'm going to create here the heading, and with the help of document.getElementById. So document.getElementById, and here I'm going to put here the title, and let's do some styling here. So with the help of the DOM, we can also do the styling. So in case if I want to do some styling, so I need to use here style.color equal to, and let's give it the color of white. And if I just saves it, you can't see because just make that color to be let's suppose make it green. So you can also change the color to green, and I can also change the background color. So let's do here the heading dot style dot background color equal to let's give it a color of gray. And you can see that we can also give it the color of gray with the help of background color property. And we can also add the padding. So let's add here the heading. So heading dot style dot padding equal to, let's give it here 10 pixel. Saves it, and you can see now we can also change that. All right, so just give it the color of white because that looks more. You can also use here the hash codes. So I just give it the color of white, right? And we can also change the text type to hello. And how we can do is, let's give it the heading dot text content equal to, give it the world. If I try to save it, and now you can see that we can change the text through using the property of text content, right? So just comment this out and let's look for the next example. And we have our, so you can see how it's easier to change the text and the color type, right? So next we can also do is we can also add the inner HTML. So heading dot inner HTML equal to, so let's give it here a span tags. So we can also add the HTML. So that's why we can use inner HTML. So we can have add the span tags inside it. And let's give it the style equal to, let's give it here the color of green. And inside that, I'm going to write here the AB Nation, right? So if I just try to save it, and you can see that we can also do for the, we can also use the HTML tags with the help of inner HTML, right? So that's for the inner HTML. And now let's do another stuff. We can also add the styling with the style.css, and we can add the class. So how we want to do it, it's very simple. So let's first go inside your style.css and make sure you link up. So I'm going to link my style.css here. All right. And let's give it here the heading. Let's give it the class of heading. So inside that, I'm going to give it the font size of 30 pixel. And let's give it the border 1 pixel solid dark gray. And let's give it the text align to the center. So text align center. All right, so let's go inside your scripts and do some changes. Okay, right over here we need to add the class. So for that, I'm going to grab the heading dot, and you can use here class list dot add, and let's add up the class which is heading. So if I'm just going to save it, and you see that now you have a borders and the font size increases and the text aligned to the center, right? So that's how you can change using that's how you can use the add class. And this is going to be very much useful when you are doing some dynamic results and some dynamic features like clicking on the button and change the size of the border or whatever you can do with the help of DOM, right? So this is going to be very much useful for you. All right, so let's move to we can also remove it by adding here, let's suppose if I just want to uncomment this out, and let's do here is, so we can also remove it by just simply typing here remove method. So it just saves it, and you see that now it removes all the CSS properties that we include in the style.css. So that's all removed by the help of that, right? So just comment that out, right? All right, so that's very much it for the styling. Let's move to the next step. Is we can grab some list items. So I'm going to create some HTML tag inside the index.html. So let's first create that. So just after the h3, I'm going to create here. Let's create here UL and LIs. Let's create here 5 LIs. Give it the name of John, Doe, Sarah, Harry, and AB Nation, right? saves it, and you can see, and let's give it the class with the name of name dash list. All right, so that's fine, and let's go to the scripts. So let's type here document dot query selector, and I need to grab the li, so I'm going to get the very first element of the ul, which is li. And if I just want to change its color, we can do with the help of style.color, just very much similar to what we have done on top. So in case we have 5 LIs, so if I just try to give it the color of red, and you notice it only changed the color of the first list item, not the entire LIs inside the UL, which is a parent, right? So it only changed the LI for the first list item, right? And if I just need to do here is, if I just want to grab the UL, let's grab the UL. We can also use here nested ULLI tags. So if I just want to save it, and you can see it do the same stuff, right? So we can also use with the help of nested tags, right? More than one tag, which means. So we can also do here the document.query selector, and let's give it here the li. And if I just want to change the last child of it, we can also do with the help of last dash child with the pseudo elements, which is known as, so which has nth dash child, which has last child, first child. So we can use with the help of pseudo elements. So let's give it the last child and give it the color. Let's give it the color of blue. Saves it, and you can see now it changed its color to blue, right? And we can also change with the nth type. So how we can do is document.query selector, and let's give it here li nth dash child, and let's give it the third one, and let's give it the color of style.color equal to, let's give it the color of pink. Saves it, and you can see that for the third one we can change the color to pink, right? So I hope that we can also do a lot of stuff with the help of list items, right? So let's go to the multiple elements. So that's you can see that we have done with the help of, we can select the single element, we can change its color. Let's look for the multiple elements, right? So I just want to comment this, and let's give it the multiple elements, right? So for the multiple elements, you can see inside my index.html, so this UL is the parent, which includes all the list items, and this is basically the collection of the list items. So how we want to grab this, just grab with the help of class. And so we can use here a selector, which is known as query selector all. So I'm going to use here the document dot, we can also use here get elements by class name. So first I'm going to show you with the help of document.get element by class name, and just simply type here the ul what the class is, name dash list. So it's just simply give it the name dash list, and if I just try to save it, and I just want to console the log and give it the name variable. All right, so let's give it the inside the names, and if I just try to save it, and that's going to give you the array of HTML collections. So you see that this is HTML collection, which includes the name dash list, and each list has its own index. Let's go into the console. So this is basically the first index. It's very much similar to like an array, which contains the list items, which has the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 elements. So that's how you can have the HTML collection with the ul.name-list, right? So that's it for that's how you can grab the multiple elements. All right, so let's start now with the query selector all, with the help of query selector all. So I'm going to use here document.query selector all. So here I need to define here name dash list, and if I just try to save it, this is going to show me nothing. And first I need to give it the variable name, so this has to be const names equal to, and just comment this out because we are using const, we cannot reiterate the variable. And let's comment this, out and save it. So you see here we have a node list which is empty. And in case of the class name, you can see the HTML collection. And in case of the query selector, you see the node list. But before going that, for the query selector all, we need to define here dot, just like we did for the query selector. We need to define that it's a class, then we have to define dot here. And as long as I type dot, and you can see the node list with having all the UL, which includes the LIs, right? So if I just want to go inside the name dash list, and which includes a bunch of methods and properties, right? And so basically it's a bit confusion that for when you use here the get element by class name, so that basically returns a live HTML collection representing an array-like objects. So if I just want to comment this and just uncomment this out, and you see that it has the HTML collections and of list of an list items, so which all have the class name. So basically an array-like object of all child elements which have all of the given class names, right? But in case of query selector all, so that's basically not live, or it returns a static node list representing a list of the documents element that match the specified group of selector. So in case we are using dot name dash list. So for the class name, we are simply defining the name dash list, but in case of the query selector, we are defining the so just comment this one. So you see that node list contains the different methods, and that methods have all the list item, which is again an array-like objects of all child elements, right? So we are very much to it. Let's look for the next concept, which is traversing. So let's comment this out. So now let's do and look for the traversing. All right, so before I should go directly to the traversing, yeah, just want to show you an example. Let's first give it the const names equal to document dot query selector. I'm using here query selector, right? And we can, if I just now need to define name dash list and console.log name, pass the names here, go to the inspect and type and go to the console. So you see that we have our list of items, which are 5. But in case if I want to see the UL, we can also do like that, ul.name-list, which can do the same stuff. So if I just need to get the children's of it, so how I'm gonna do is, let's go here and grab the children. So console.log, let's define here names.children, and if I just try to save it, and you can see it can returns me an HTML collection which includes all the LIs, which have its index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and the length of 5, right? So that's for the children. Now these are all the children of the UL, which is the parent. So now let's look for the, if I just want to grab the children first, so let's go to the names.children and let's give it here 0, and if I just try to save it, and you can see the first is the marker, which is John, right? So we can also grab by index. So if I just want to put here 1, and that's going to bring up Doe, right? So that's how you can do with the index. So remember, we are not using here HTML, we are not using here query selector all, because it returns an HTML collection. But here in case of query selector, we can also get the children, the specified children with the index, right? So we can also do here is we can also change the text content. So let's give it the names.children, and I need to change the name of the children first. So let's give it a text content, and let's give it here a name of Adams. If I just try to save it, and you see that we can also get the text over here on the document, right? So that's for the traversing, right? So just comment this all, and I just not need that. I'm just doing it so you guys can get as a reference, so you can also easily download from a GitHub repository, right? So next I have here is the event listeners. So let's look at the event listeners. So event listeners and the event objects. So basically an event, so we have multiple events that if we need to perform any action, we need some actions. So we need some events. So we have different kind of events. We have click events, we have keyboard events. So we will look all over the examples. So first I'm going to do is here, I'm going to create here a button first. So let's create a button, and that button should be right after my H3, right? So let's do here and create a button, and give it the class of add btn, right? And let's give it the name of add list, saves it, and that's going to create our button, right? Okay, so right inside here, I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable. Let's give it the variable name to be val, and inside that I'm going to use document.querySelector. So let's grab the class for the button. So I'm going to copy this, make this small a, right? And let's put it inside the add btn and bring the dot inside it. And I want an event for like any action that I need to perform, or the click event I need to perform. I need to have some events, right? So I'm going to create here an add event listener, and I want an event which is click event. Like if I click on the button, that should work. So let's try to test this out. So I'm going to create here a function of alert, right? Let's give it 1, 2, 3 and save it. And soon I just click on the add list. So you see that we have our click event, right? So basically we are getting the class using the query selector and the event which is click event, and this function is basically the callback function which allow us to run that alert, right? So basically we are using here a very simple event which is the click event, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do here is let's first go is console.log, and I need to give it val equal to, we can do another property, another object which is e.target, and let's bring here val inside it. So soon I click on the add list, so it says e is not defined, and I need to pass that function e inside the callback function. And if I just try to save it, and you see it will tell the target that I'm clicking on, like if I'm clicking anywhere, because I have given the class on that action. So if I just click on that button, this is going to give you all the target, which includes the button class and a complete element for the specific list, right? If I click on the button, this is going to give me the complete HTML code for this, right? So let's go and look for the another example, and let's, if I just need to get its ID, so let's give it the, because I have no any ID, so let's do here is e.target.id, and if I just try to saves it, and if I click on it, and you see there is nothing because we have our class. So in case of the class, so we can use here something which is known as class name. If I just try to click on it, and you see the class, we have our add btn, which you can see we have our class for the button, right? So that's how we can use the classes, right? So we can also get the type of this, like what kind of event that we have. So for this we need to do is to e.target.type, and if I just try to save it and click on that, so this is basically the submit. So basically we are submitting it, so that's how it can show you that it's a submit event, right? All right, so I hope that's really much for this, and let's look for some more examples. So I'm going to comment this out. So I hope you get some concept about the even listeners and the even objects. So I'm going to look for another example. Here is the mouse events. So let's create here a variable with the name of val and create here a variable with the name of btn. So document dot query selector, and inside that I'm going to use here add btn, and so let's do some even listener. So btn dot, let's get here add even listener, and I want to have here a click listener with having the function like a callback function. So there are two ways of doing it. So the first way is that you can add up the callback function like this, or you can define the function simply here and define it outside the parameters of the add even listener. So how you're going to do it, you just simply need to give it the name of the even, which is a test even, and down here you can create here a function with the name of test even, and just create that. And sorry, there's no need of function name, so just saves it, and let's give it here, pass here the even, and I'm gonna check this out. Let's give it here console.log and pass hello. So it says expected. So yeah, I just forget to bring here a function name, right? Saves it, and that's fine. And now if I just try to click on the add list, and you can see the console.log hello, right? So, and next I'm going to remove this. I'm going to check here is the type of the even. So I'm using backticks here. Let's check the even type, and this should be $e.type, and yeah, let's click on the add even, and this is basically the click even, right? And next we have our, we can do one more stuff here. We can also have a dbl click, double click. So for the double click, let's go and type here add even listener. Let's give it here dbl click and test even, saves it, and just want to comment this out. So if I just try to click on it one time, it's not gonna pop up, and if I double click on it, and that's, you can see now it works. So basically this dbl click allow us to click on 2 times, and then it will fire off. So that's the property for the click. So let's look for the next one, and let's give it here mouse down. So if I just try to click on it, and so mouse down means soon I click on it and release it, this is gonna fire, right? So I just click on it and hold on, and this mouse down fires off. So I click and then I release. So this is basically the mouse down. And let's look for the mouse up, and you know it's very much opposite to that. So mouse leave, and once I click on it, it's not fires off, and once I release, and it will fire off. So this is basically the mouse leave, right? So I hope it makes sense. All right, so let's look for the next example. So we have worked with the mouse events. So let's look for some keyboard events. So let's comment this all. So keyboard events. Alright, so for this I need to create here a form inside my HTML. Just underneath that, I just need to create here a form, and that form, very basic input field. So let's create here input type of text and give it the name. No need of name, just remove that. Let's give it the list dash input, and down here I need a submit button. Right, so I give it the submit button. Alright, saves it, and let's go inside your scripts. So here I'm gonna do is, let's create a form first. So I'm gonna grab by using document.query selector. So document.query selector, and inside that form I'm gonna create here list input for my input field. So document.query selector, and inside that I just need to have my list dash input. Alright, and I want my list input to be empty by default, and cannot set property value of undefined. So list input dot value. So just remove that for a while, and all I'm gonna do here is form dot add event listener. So I'm gonna use here a submit event, and just like I did for the test event, we create a function very much similar to what we have done for the mouse event. So I'm going to copy this function, paste it down here with the event, and that submits that. And let's do is, as long as I type up something, let's give it here list input dot add event listener. Alright, so first test this out, right? I saves it, and let's type here something, and if I click on the submits, and you see that things, it really flashes it off real quick. So in order to stop that, because it's a default behavior for the form, so in order to stop it, I need to use here e.prevent default. Alright, so if I just try to save it, and now you see that it will not flash off, so it will remain and stops it. So that's the main usage of the prevent default. So there are some tags which has the default behavior. So form is also one of them. So in order to stop it, we use here e.prevent default to stop the form from submission, right? So that's for the, you can see it's a submit event. And next we can also use here some key down and key up. So in order to do that, so let's do here is list input dot add event listener, and let's give it here key down and the function name. All right, so it says cannot read property. So key down, cannot read property, add event listener of null. Yeah, I just need to do here is I need to define here a class, which I forget. So give it the class here and saves it, and if I just, as long as I type something, this is gonna, and I click on it, and once I release it, this function only fires off when I hold on it, right? So this is basically the key down, very much identical to the mouse. And next we have our also key up. So let's look at the key up and saves it, and as long as I release it, so the key up function fires off, right? So this is basically the key up. All right, so last thing I'm going to show you is we can also get the value. So in order to get the value, I just need to uncomment this out, and let's do here list input dot value equal to empty, and inside the console.log, let's give it here console.log and give it the value. So list input dot value. So in order to get the value, whatever I type here, let's suppose if I type here AB Nation, and you see it will fires off. So I just need to comment this out too, and let's type here test and submits that, and you see we can also get the value, which is test, right? So that's very much nice to it. So after H3, you need to just I just need to comment this out so we can we don't need to fire off the event when the submit functions is clicked, right? So I need to have here is I don't need to submit the form. So what I'm going to do here is we bring the H3 in, and inside that let's do console.log and define here e.target. So this event is passed in here, and let's type something. So if I just type here like hello, so nothing works. So let's do here, yeah, I just forget to bring here the key down. So let's prefer do with the key up, right? So let's do here AB Nation, and as long as I type some here, the functions fires off. So this is basically, let's comment this the value. So that's how we can grab the, on the 78 we can get the entire target, which is the input type equal to text, just like we do for the click event. Now it's a keyboard, and we can get the target whatever we are, which field that we are getting in. So here in our cases, which is input type equal to text. All right, so let's do here is just right after here heading dot, I'm using here inner text. So let's give it here e.target.value and saves it. Let's, if I try to type here AB Nation, and you see as long as I type something, it will show on the document. So it's very much similar to like data binding, which we do in Angular. So that's something very much matches. So you can see how useful it is to use that, right? So now we are done with the keyboard events, and let's do our simple last thing, which is append child, with that very mini kind of project that I would to do. I want to show you an example. So let's do here right after it. All right, so let's create here a user list. I'm going to create here again the variables. So let's, for the user list, so I'm going to define here document dot query selector, and inside that I want to have my name dash list. All right, next I need to have my list input, so document dot query selector, and inside that I'm going to bring here the list dash input, and next I need to have my btn. So let's define here add btn equal to document dot query selector, and the event should be add btn. Let's bring here dot and the add btn, right? Okay, so let's create here an event listener. So let's first do is as long as I click on the btn, so just do that, add btn dot, let's give it here an event listener of click and the callback function, and inside that I need to create here a function, which not actually a function, and I need to do here is an event when some event works. So I want to create here a new li. So this li will be append after the next child li. So we can add the li using the add list button. So once I click on it, so this is gonna append the list item, is repeatedly append whatever I type inside here, inside the text field. So let's do here is create here an li. So document dot create element. So create element will create an li. So if I just create here li and go to my console.log, let's do here li, and if I just want to show you, if I type something here, and you see this is going to create here an li, right? So this is basically the list item. So that's how we can create the tags using the create element method. So that's very much helpful for us. So next I need to type some text inside the tag. So that's also very simple. So let's do here const tag text equal to, so document dot create text node. So we need to create here a node. So let's create a node inside the li, and sorry, we need to create the input first. So let's bring the list input, which is the input, which has the input type as a selector. So in order to get the value, we need to have here dot value, save it, and as long as I type anything inside that, so you can see I need to console.log. So console.log, and let's give here text. All right, saves it. And if I type something here, so that's really confusing actually. I'm using this click at event. So if I click on here, you see whatever I type inside that, so this is gonna add the text right here. All right, so that's how we can do the text. And I need to add this text inside the li. So how I'm going to use here, I'm going to use here something which is known as append child. So I need to bring this inside the li. So what I'm going to do, li dot append child. So I'm going to use here append the child. So append child means that it will add the children, which is the list item, inside the ul. So I'm going to do is li and append the child and add the text. So if I'm going to try to add up something, so you see now we can also add the inside li, we can easily add the text. Now I need this li to be inside this ul. So the ul is basically the user list. So it's very simple. All I'm going to do here is to bring the user list, and again I need to append the child, and that append child, and bring a new list item. So I'm going to save it. If as long as I type something, you see now we can easily add the li, right? So this is a very useful DOM is very much important as far as traversing, as far as doing some changing the different attributes or the function, do dynamically results, adding the list item, creating new list items, creating elements, creating text node, append the child, get the children's. So I hope this course, this topic will be very much useful for you. So that's it, and if you have any queries, so please don't forget to comment me down, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I want to see you for the next time.